like a painter with words. Very simple, very sort of unpretentious. But if you're intellectually curious, you only see the production of his thoughts. You don't necessarily see the work that's gone into the thoughts behind. So you confuse the presentation of them for the insight. Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah. A lot of my stuff is more polished. Like one of the funny things,
Zing.
One of the funny things that right before this podcast was, I thought, oh, maybe I should go back and read my old tweets to sort of remember what I said and I can articulate it well. But then I realized that's just performance. I would just be memorizing my whole stuff to perform.
Yeah. Well, that's an extra special level of
exactly
hell that you've descended into.
And
then I wrote memorizing me to be more me.
Bingo. And to live up to some expectation or some famous personality that I now have to become, some straitjacket that I have to put on.
Yeah, so I'm having to live up to in private the things that I proclaim.
That's right. So of course, pretty quickly I saw through that. It's nonsense, and it also constrains my time, and it's just work, and I think
that's your meditation practice at work there, that mindfulness gap, to be like,
yeah,
there's that thing again in
exactly.
Hello.
So it's not about changing your thoughts. It's not about fixing your thoughts. It's not about changing yourself. It's just about being observant of yourself so that you can then, it'll automatically change. Whatever change needs to happen will happen. You trying to change yourself is very circular. The mind trying to change the mind is the mind just mud wrestling with itself. I don't think it gets you anywhere.
You've spent a lot of time either creating wealth or thinking about how to create wealth. What have you learned are the best places to spend wealth?
To spend wealth?
Yeah. How you spend this time creating this wealth, accumulating. What are the best ways for you to put it back out?
I actually think Elon had this one figured out, which is he plowed his own money back into his own businesses to go and do bigger and better things for humanity. So what I would like to, you could give it to nonprofits, but a lot of nonprofits are grifty, or it's people who didn't earn it trying to spend it, or they don't have tight feedback loops on having a good effect. So one of the things I want to do as an aside is I want to create a little school for young physicists, but that's my nonprofit.
For young physicists?
Yeah, that's my nonprofit-y thing. But and I've actually underwritten media and some physics stuff. I don't like to talk about it, so I don't talk about my whatever so-called philanthropy, because I think that makes it less real. That makes it more status-oriented.
Makes it less philanthropic.
Yeah, exactly. And then people
look at how charitable my charity is.
And then people also come hunting for money. So there's all of that disease. I don't believe in giving to schools. They have enough money. Ivy Leagues have enough money, and they don't know how to spend it. So I think the best use of money is, I think a good business creates a product for people that they voluntarily buy and they get value out of. So in that sense, I think Steve Jobs and Elon and entrepreneurs like that have created a lot of value for the world. So one of the things I can do is I can take my own money and I can invest it in myself to go and build the next great thing that I think needs to exist. And that's basically what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a new business. I'm self-funding it. I'm plowing a lot of money into it. I'm going to build something that I think is beautiful, that I want to see exist. I really want to see it exist.
Have you spoken about this yet, or is it still dark mode?
It's so early. Maybe I'll show it to you in a few months.
Cool.
Hopefully 6 months. And I'm excited about it, and that's a good use of money.
What about the worst places to spend wealth?
What is the old line? If it flies, floats, or fornicates?
Very nice way to change the final F. Very impressive.
Yeah. That's the way I heard it.
Okay.
I can't take credit for it.
I'm pretty sure it's Fox, but yeah. So.
Yeah. I think that was, maybe it was Felix Dennis.
Okay.
Who had that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said, if it flies, floats, or fornicates, rent it. I think the last one was a little too... It's wrong in that he didn't have a family, didn't have kids. Okay. So, he missed the big one.
Yep.
But yeah, there are lots of bad ways to spend money. I believe in investment. I don't believe in consumption. Yes, you're born with a short housing position. You close that out. You get yourself a nice house. Get yourself some help to free up your time, so you're not doing things that other people can do better. Treat people well. Always overpay and expect the best. Pay them like they're the best and then expect the best. But overall, I think a good use of money is to take risks and build things and do things that other people can't do. Align it with your own unique talents so you can keep delivering to the world. I'm not going to sit idle. I'm not going to retire. That's a waste of whatever time I have left on this earth. And if I'm doing something I enjoy, then I'm already in perpetual retirement. Because work is just a set of things you want to do that you have to do that you don't want to do. So if you want to do it, it's not work. And so there are things that I want to do, don't feel like work. I can put money behind them and I can use that to instantiate them into reality. And I don't want to say make the world a better place because that's too trite, but it's more just create a product that I'm proud of that wouldn't exist otherwise, that other people will get tremendous value.
And it's been enabled through wealth because you're able to take a level of risk that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. Wealth gives you freedom. It gives you freedom to explore more options. And in my case, it gives me freedom to start businesses without having to ask other people for permission or to warp my vision based on their desires to make a return or how they think money should be made.
Is there anything that you'd add to the how to get rich thread? Is there anything where you thought, fuck, like just one, if I could go in and edit and add one more in or
there's like 10,000 things. I could talk about that topic forever, to be honest. Like that thread was so short and it was so limited and it was so like, crafted in a sense, although I wrote it very spontaneously. It left so much on the cutting room floor that I could just talk about that topic for days, but it's all contextual. Right? Business is very, very, very contextual. Like you have to look at the particular business and understand what's being done and why it's being done and how it's being done. And then you can tear it apart or you can and then reassemble it properly. And I like to think that is actually where I have specific knowledge and expertise. My specific knowledge and expertise is not in happiness and not in philosophy. Yes, my life is very hacked to be very unique, but I don't think that's where my specific knowledge is. My specific knowledge is in being able to analyze a business, especially a technology business, and take it apart at the seams and predict in advance what is likely to work and what is not likely to work, Clubhouse notwithstanding. Because you're still going to be wrong most of the time. It's like playing the lottery, but you know one or two of the tickets numbers in advance. You only have to be right a few times or even just once to get the big score. Peter Thiel started PayPal, but he made all his money on Facebook, right? And now he's done more since then, obviously, but that was the big winner. And that's true in any power law distribution. Number one is going to return more than 2 through n put together. 2 will return more than 3 through n put together. You're operating in a highly leveraged intellectual domain. So the outcomes are going to be nonlinear. I know a lot about that topic, but it's highly contextual. It makes a lot more sense if there's a specific business in front of me, a specific entrepreneur, and I can take that apart. And I can say, so there are certain companies where I'll say, oh, this is not going to work because you, the entrepreneur, are doing this for the wrong reasons. You're doing A so you can get to B, just go to B. Or you're doing this to make money when really the person who's doing this because they love the product is going to beat you. Or you're raising money from the wrong people who are in it for the wrong reasons. Or your co-founder is not in it for the right reasons. Or you don't have the right kind of co-founder. Or your vesting schedule is wrong. Or you're starting the business in the wrong place. Or you're approaching it from this angle instead of that angle. And of course, I'll be wrong too. But I've just seen a lot of data. I have my theories around it. And that's where I feel very comfortable operating. The problem is when I have to talk about how to create wealth, and How to Get Rich is a clickbait title, deliberately. But when I talk about how to create wealth, talking about it in the abstract is very difficult because then you just want to speak truth. You have to just say the timeless stuff. You have to be right in almost every context. And so it really limits what you can say.
The lack of specificity makes it,
correct. It's back to philosophy. But when I can get specific about it, that's when the real knowledge
you
and
could be like a wealth counselor for people.
Yeah. Part of the reason why I started doing podcasts and, this is ego at play, so I'll admit it freely. When I was tweeting, I kind of pioneered philosophy Twitter, if you will, or a certain kind of practical philosophy Twitter, where in 140 characters, I would try to say something true in an interesting way that was insightful to me at the time. But then that got copied. There's thousands of us now, right? Thousands of people spitting it out, ChatGPT, trying to create these things all day long. Although I like to think that my stuff is incompressible. I'm saying it in the tightest way possible, which is kind of a little failed poetry background. But what I realized was if you truly have a deep understanding of something, then you can talk about it all day long. Then you can rederive everything you need from that understanding, no memorization required. You can get to it from first principles. And every piece of what you know is like it's like a Lego block that just fits in and forms a steel frame. It's solid. It's locked in there. And so on a podcast, I can unload much more deeply about some of these topics. So for example, we can talk about any business you like, but it has to be in context. It has to be real. It has to be an actual problem. Then we can solve it.
I just really love that heuristic of if you're having to memorize something, it's because you don't understand it.
You don't understand it. That's right. If you have to memorize something, it's because you don't understand it. And if you understand something, you don't have to memorize it.
Mm. Yeah. Again, just to sort of call out a lot of what I tried to do, this redemption arc thing of if I sound smart, that's like
Yeah.
being smart, right? You go,
Well, ChatGPT has memorized the entire internet. Good luck competing with that.
Mhm.
You're not going to beat it on memorization. You're not even going to beat a library of memorization. You're not going to beat any 10 books on memorization. So memorization is not the thing.
The value of memorization is going down by the day.
It's already so low. Understanding is the thing. Judgment is the thing. Taste is the thing. And understanding, judgment, taste, these come out of having real problems and then solving them and then finding the commonalities. What is philosophy? Everyone, you live long enough, you'll be a philosopher. Philosophy is just when you find the hidden generalizable truths among the specific experiences that you've had in life.
Mm.
And then you know how to navigate future specific experiences based on some heuristics, and you create a philosophy around that. Any subject pursued deeply enough will eventually lead to philosophy. Mastery in anything, literally anything, will lead you to being a philosopher. You just have to stick with it long enough and generalize the truths back out. And these are universal truths. It's back to the unity and variety. You can find unity in anything if you go deep enough.
And that's why the trite stuff, unfortunately, sort of keeps coming back around. You're like, well, look, this is cliche for kind of a reason.
It's cliche for reasons. But sometimes you learn new things. Sometimes you do figure out new things too. Even in philosophy, for example, science has advanced. As science has advanced, it's actually expanded our boundaries of philosophy. When we used to think that, the earth was the center of the universe, you would actually have a different philosophical outlook than when you think the universe is vast and we're infinitesimally small. It will give you a different philosophical outlook. The same way, if you think that the nature is driven by angels and demons and gods versus if there are laws of physics that are computable and understandable, that will lead you to a different philosophical outlook. If you think that knowledge is something that is passed down from above and through generations versus something that is created on the fly and then tested against reality, that will lead you to a different philosophical outlook. If you think humans are created by God as opposed to humans evolved from some, unicellular organism, yeah, it still doesn't solve the original problem of who created that, but at least it takes you further
kick
back.
the can down the road.
Even sim theory is an attempt at reformulating philosophy based on what we know about computers, even though it kind of leads to a lot of the same conclusions as, creator. But it is at least philosophy that is informed by technology and by science. So philosophy can also evolve. Moral philosophy evolves, right? There was a time when every culture practically that was a conquering culture practiced slavery. Now almost all cultures abhor slavery. That's moral philosophy having evolved. There was even this sounds too ludicrous to be true, and I don't know if it fully is true, but there were a fairly large group of doctors based on studies who believed until the 1980s that babies couldn't feel pain. And so even to this day, I think circumcision is done without anesthesia. And because under the theory that, very young children, babies don't feel pain. And that's ludicrous. And there was a study that came out in the 80s that said, no, they do feel pain. It's like, oh yeah, of course, right? So people can be stuck in bad philosophical traps for a long period of time. So even philosophy can make progress. And as an example, one of the realizations that I had, and this is thanks to David Deutsch and my friend James Pierce, and also thinking it through a little bit, is that there are these timeless old questions that we run into where the answers seem like paradoxes. So we stop thinking about them. So an example is free will. Do you have free will? Or does anything matter? Is there meaning to life?